If you see someone Indian this week, tell them congratulations because we just landed on the moon. I know I'm saying we, even though I live in America and I've been to India maybe once in my life, but landed on the moon nonetheless. You've probably seen it on people's stories in the past week and whatnot, but um, India becomes the fourth country to land on the moon, along with the first country to land on the south pole of the moon. Um, the three other countries that go along with them are the USA, Soviet Union, and who am I forgetting? And China, of course. Um, now this is actually so massive if you think about it. Like I didn't even know India was in the space race, and that may be once again just a little bit ignorant on my part. But to start so far behind and then you know still beat you to the South Pole, that's some pretty far advancements. If you don't know, it was Chandryaan 3 landed on August 23rd. So whenever you're listening to this, just giving you a little bit of reference. On August 23rd, sorry, uh, landed on the South Pole of the moon at about 8 a.m. And then the fanfare commenced where you see all these stories of people celebrating. Uh, and it's a huge accomplishment, right? Especially because if half of those workers that were working on Chandrayaan 2 crashed in 2019, this becomes this 4-year gap from when you know, fail this one mission, the $75 million mission, and then go on to finally accomplish it 4 years later. It's massive. What was even not funny, right? But it's just like, it's obviously a space race. It's always a space race. And the Russians were set to land on August 21st. And what was their shuttle called? Luna 25. And it was launched early. All of this on purpose to beat India to that South Pole. Ends up crashing upon landing. And then I read about how, okay, like once it gets to that certain part of the orbit and you can be meticulous about the landing, especially if 4 years ago it crashed and it didn't work out. Probably a lot of learnings from that. So once again, if you see us, we might be walking with a little bit different swagger this week because it's like, shit, you ain't been on the South Pole like me, cuz even though none of us have been there. But still, if you see someone, wish them congratulations. Uh, and with that, welcome to episode 3. I don't know why I had to look at my computer like we're so far along, but episode 3. I do sometimes feel like I'm on episode 8 or whatnot because of the clips that we're making and everything that's been going into the week, episode to episode. But if you haven't, please, drop a like if you can on YouTube. Watch some of the shorts. The shorts are a little bit fun, especially with us having such a low attention span. It's a nice little quick up, up, up. But my name's Ajay Patel. Welcome to the Ajay Patel Show. And we have more of the same for you this week, starting with I survived a hurriquake. A lot of you probably heard that last week California had an incoming hurricane come in, being Hurricane Hillary, and I remember waking up at about 4 a.m. and seeing that the trajectory kind of shifted over. So we weren't in the direct path, and I wasn't too scared, honestly, especially seeing that California has dealt with this before. I would be a little bit more terrified if it's like, oh, like how Dallas deals with snow, where everything shuts down for a week. If you go out on the road, you're probably screwed. If you try to walk from, like let's say here to the grocery store, you're probably going to end up slipping on ice because no precautions have been taken to, salt the roads and whatnot. But it was very casual. Like I think I was out on Saturday night and no one was worried about this thing, right? No one was kind of putting up what's all that stuff that they put on their doors before a storm comes. And so then the storm comes and it just becomes a little bit of rain, sprinkle here and there. My mom's constantly checking up on me to see, oh, is everything okay? It's everything okay? Make sure you get plenty of water and make sure you get a bunch of canned food and stuff like that. It's the precautionary side of her. And it ends up just being a bunch of rain. And so then I'm just sitting at the computer, hanging out, obviously not leaving the house because it's damn near flooding outside. And then the desk starts shaking. It was At first I was like, God damn, bro, this desk is so freaking wobbly. Like I need to figure out which screw is loose and all that stuff. And then you start wobbling a little bit and it's like, hold up. You start hearing the sounds around the apartment of like we have a mirror against the wall that starts kind of clanking up against it. You hear the aperture, some of the fixtures that we have just kind of, you hear the legs wobbling around on the floor. And I was like, oh shit, it's going down. I come outside, I see Isha on the couch. She's just eating, just like, yo, what the is going on? Like, are we supposed to do something? You know, what are you supposed to do in this case? Um, my immediate reaction was, oh, we got to get in the bathtub. First of all, that's incorrect. For anyone that has had an earthquake or you have an earthquake in your future, the bathtub is not the correct solution. I was so traumatized from always having those kind of tornado drills living in Texas that is what you do when a tornado comes. You get in the bathtub in, a bathroom closest to probably the center of the house that kind of stays intact a little bit more when a tornado comes. But an earthquake, you're supposed to get under a table of some sort, or something that if things start falling from the roof and whatnot, it would hit the table and obviously it wouldn't hit you. The issue is we live in a high rise. So, and don't get me wrong, this earthquake was probably about 10 seconds, which is pretty long, especially, as your brain is processing all of these things that are happening live. So then I'm like, okay, are we supposed to like go to the fire escape? And, because the fire escape is surrounded by concrete walls. Are we supposed to just get under the table and just wait it out? Are we supposed to go to the bottom of the building? Oh, you're running all these scenarios in your head and you're like, no, if this building is going down in an earthquake, I'm fucked. I literally cannot do anything in my power to save myself. And so that was a terrifying thought because I was just standing here looking out the window. And obviously, once again, this is 10 seconds, but you're processing things super fast. And you're just like, am I screwed? Like if shit starts going down, whether I'm on the 25th floor or the first floor, there is no surviving this shit, right? Like you have to be probably at least miles away from the building to be in a safe proximity zone. Luckily, after that, it just kind of subsided. The news reports come out. You start seeing the Apple alerts like, 5.1 earthquake. And I've dealt with earthquakes before, right? Like in Texas, we were not completely immune to them. You would feel them once or twice, but it's just like, oh shit, what's happening? And then it's done. And those are probably on the scale of 3.1, threes, twos, maybe. 5 was, I will say, a little shaky, especially because this building is probably built to withstand some of that. Obviously, they don't build these things when one disaster comes, it'll be messed up, right? They know with all the data that they have to be able to withstand all of these natural disasters. And so we just stayed at home for the rest of the day after that earthquake. It's not like you could do anything. I obviously told my mom, she starts freaking out. My sister starts freaking out. My dad didn't reply. And what was so crazy is like, I was obviously on TikTok and Instagram because that's how I get my news apparently. And all these people were out like surfing the beach. People were at Disneyland. And like a small feeling came in me. I was like, yo, if I was at Disneyland on a roller coaster or something and that earthquake hit, I understand you don't feel it necessarily because, you have the rattle of the ride as it is, but I would be terrified. I'm already terrified of roller coasters as it is. And I'm the person that, will wait in line with you. And then when we get there, I'm just going to hold your bags while you go ride the ride. And I'll win you a little stuffed animal at the prizes afterwards if you want. But to see all these people out surfing during a quote unquote hurricane, and then also at Disneyland, probably because, obviously a big storm like this reduces the crowd size at Disneyland. So you start seeing this other side of influx. I just don't think you can tell people what to do anymore post COVID. Like, no one wants to be told to stay in their house ever again. We already dealt with it once. And I really think if like another pandemic hits, like, so, it will never be the kind of like the deserted towns that we saw our cities become during COVID, where no one was out on the street. If you go for a walk, you probably see maybe 5 people. I don't think whether it's a hurricane, any other natural disaster, and you tell people to stay at home, it's not happening. It's not happening ever again. And that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not pretty cool, but it's pretty interesting to think of the fact of how COVID may have been an impact to that. I already understand that people didn't know how to act before COVID, but I think it's just more of it now. But anyways, survived the hurricane. Hillary loses again, and here we are. You guys should have definitely seen the the quote from Joe Biden on the hurricane, speaking of like, oh, it's coming in Florida, it's hitting California, and the most important thing you can do during hurricane season is get vaccinated. That guy is our motherfucking president, yo. Like, obviously we know Sleepy Joe, the term, all of that stuff. Like, we've heard him say some wild stuff. We've seen him fall over and over again, press conference after press conference. But it just never ceased to exist. Never ceased to amaze me. Some of the stuff that, like, do people not check his lines before he goes out there, Or does he have lines and then he's just like, you got to get vaccinated? Like, what if it was a different line and he's just going out there, just losing his mind, just not even reading what's on the paper and then saying some wild shit? You got to think, like, the most, like, oh, sorry if I bumped the mic. This is quote unquote what people call the most important job, right? In at least the United States, the leader of the free country, blah, blah, blah. And no one is checking his lines. If you go to a work meeting and say some wild shit, people will be like, yo, like, next time you need to send me your shit before you read that crap out loud. And it would make sense. So in this next election, like, please don't ask me who I'm voting for. Both of these candidates are damn near 80-something years old, 90-something years old, 100-something years old. I'm probably going to vote for whoever is younger, whether that's blue, whether that's red, whether they have my interests at heart. Whoever is younger has my vote. Joe Biden already let me down one time with the fucking student loan stuff. I had all my eggs in that basket. Oh, but he's going to do this along with that. That's cool. I got these student loans he's going to pay. And things got pretty hopeful for a second there, where it's like, oh, you apply here to this link and, you'll get forgiven in X amount of weeks. Cool. And then that bill comes out. Oh, yeah, we're not paying student loans. Oh, then you good. You can go ahead and bounce, my guy. Who's up next? Who wants to make that promise to me next? I'll vote for them as long as they're younger. Speaking of delusional white males, we get into Fyre Festival 2. And boy, oh boy, y'all have to read about this story along with listen to what I'm about to say. I need to find this guy's name and I have it pulled up here. But basically, if you don't know, Fyre Festival 1 was a music festival sort of like Coachella-esque, but it was put on this much grander scale. There were celebrities like Hailey Bieber, Kendall Jenner promoting this. And if you want to know the full thing, you can watch it on Netflix. It's an awesome documentary. It's just pretty insightful and crazy to see what went down. Let me do a quick check to see if the camera's still recording. Okay, we're good. And it was basically like a Coachella-esque performance. It's an outdoor festival, X amount of day, probably 3-4 days. People traveling to a different location, setting up tents, having different tiers that they can pay for, whether they're in a tent, whether they're in like a hotel room. I don't know. I've never been to Coachella, but this is the lie I'm telling you right now. And then obviously there's food involved. You're eating it, like vendors that come in. And then, of course, the most important part, the people that are performing. And I remember Fyre Festival 1 had groups like Blink 182 there, or promised to be there, and a bunch of other big names. And Ja Rule, who many of you probably have never listened to, but you've probably seen in like some internet memes and whatnot, he was a huge investor in on this. And what ends up happening is a complete disaster. This guy, and I'll find his name for you here in 2 seconds. Actually, let me just find it now. I'll cut out any dead space. Billy McFarland. Basically, he goes to this town, and I'll figure out where it is later. And he tells the island people, like, hey, this is what I'm going to be hosting here. This is what I need help setting up, this and that. And I promise you this amount of money. What ends up happening is nothing pans out, right? Nothing is built on time. Vendors are nowhere intact. Every performer has canceled. The biggest issue behind all of this is attendees are still arriving. So there is this big old storm of people coming to this island, staying in these basic tents that you can probably get from a Walmart, eating these absolutely disgusting sandwiches. And people are paying a lot of money for this, right? People are paying $50 for a little PB&J someone made on the back of someone else. Like a complete scam. And then, it becomes like when a flight gets delayed or something or canceled, and you see this massive line go up to the desk, and it's like, damn, like everyone is about to go ask for a refund. Everyone's going to go ask, hey, yo, like what's the situation here? How do I get accommodated for what is happening on y'all's end? So then that happens, but the issue is there's no answer, right? Billy McFarland is not actually there at this festival, to my knowledge, and it goes down as one of the biggest flops of like a music festival ever. It was such a scam that Billy McFarland was sentenced to jail. I think, let me just read it here. 6 years after Fyre Festival became synonymous with epic disaster, its founder announced he's relaunching the failed music and camping retreat, and its first drop of tickets have already sold out. I just said this. The people that don't know how to act. And this is no different, bro. Like, what in your right mind would make you think, like, if someone messed up, let's say you hire a wedding planner and they completely botch your wedding, right? Everything's out of place. Everything's running late. You're not happy. Your family's not happy. Food is missing. Guests are eating at midnight on the reception night. Obviously, I'm talking about an Indian wedding in my head, but same thing goes for any other cultural wedding, where if you hired someone and they completely botched it, why in the world would you hire them again? Why in the world would you trust them again? There is zero reason to ever put your faith in that person again. I get it. People do deserve second chances and whatnot. Cool. But go build your reputation somewhere else. I'm not putting my faith in you again. Maybe if you're a close friend and I see that, oh, okay, you've made these changes to maybe enhance your business and things will be better, I can see that. And then maybe I can invest in you, right? But what in the world makes you think that this dude, Billy, this mofo Billy, gets out of jail and decides to drop Fyre Festival 2, and it sells out? I need to read y'all this stuff because it is absolutely insane. After a stint in jail for fraud, Billy McFarland, the founder and organizer of the infamous Fyre Festival in 2017, is back with his latest venture, the same botched fest. The first drop of 100 pre-sale tickets for Fyre Festival 2 went on sale Monday for $4.99 a pop and sold out within a day. Virtually no details were released about the event, which has quote unquote targeted for the end of 2024 in the Caribbean, according to the site. That shit is being thrown next year. More tickets are coming soon, according to the website, dropping in tiers from $7.99 to an eye-opening price of about $8,000 a piece. You know, am I crazy? Like, am I being a little bit lackluster in the trust field? This is insane. And I also wonder if it's like a bit of a like, I don't doubt that they sold tickets because I could see how people kind of get amped up for these things, especially if it's like, oh, you know what? It could have been such a big thing the first time. So the second time around, I don't think it's going to go bad. But, you know, like, in what world does this go good? Okay, sorry. Just took a sip of my coffee. So here's what I think the scam is. And it low-key is genius, but I don't think it's his part. And once again, I urge you, try to find it on Netflix. It might be on Hulu. I don't know. Pay the $2 if you must. But what I could see being the scam is if I am throwing Fyre Festival 2 and I'm selling these tickets online, and then I quickly make them sell out, but I'm not actually selling out, right? So like I sell maybe one ticket and then I say, oh, it's sold out. So then you as the consumer, you have no idea how much I sold. But it becomes this thing of like, oh, now I have to have it. Similar to all my guys listening when the PS5 dropped, or to all the girls listening when the Airwrap was out of stock. It creates this demand, right? So now the Airwrap and the PS5 you can easily get in whatever store or whatever website you want to shop, but you won't necessarily get it now because it's so readily available and everyone can have it. Same idea and concept with the concert tickets or festival tickets, where, oh, this is sold out. I might have to get in on this. You know, I might have to hop in on that tier 2 seats of $7.99 because I can't miss out on this. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe. But if you go to this Fyre Festival 2, I'm deleting you out of my phone. If I see you post a story from Fyre Festival 2 or the fact that you bought Fyre Festival 2 tickets and you get like, do you just laugh if the people get scammed, right? Like it's pretty messed up that, you know, people are spending or, you know, they get scammed out of this much money. But people got to know how to act. Speaking of deleting people out of my phone, you know, I saw this recent thing that Gen Z is replacing the term LOL with IJBOL. 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 Which stands for, and let's see if you can beat me to it. It stands for, I just burst out laughing. If you text me IJBOL at any point in our relationship, I will lose my mind. LOL is already a term that doesn't even stand for laughing out loud anymore, right? It's something that you just put on the end of messages to make things seem maybe a little bit less mean, make it seem like you're not too serious. Like, hey, bro, you coming out tonight? Nah, man, just went to sleep. LOL. The person can't really get mad at you because it's like you put LOL at the end. Hey, man, I thought you were going to do the dishes. Oh, my bad. I forgot. LOL. Yo, what the? And it's so common. You never say LOL at things that you actually find funny anymore. Sometimes it can just replace a whole thought, message, sentence. Oh, I just need to reply to this person's long ass message. Let me just type in LOL. Now, that shit is disrespectful, first of all, to anyone that's doing that. And I'm guilty of it. Please don't, try to find my receipts, but I'm 100% guilty of it. I throw that shit on anything. Oh, what am I doing tonight? Nothing. LOL. Oh, I did this. LOL. I will never in my life type IJBOL at any of this shit. Because if you actually do burst out laughing, from what I've seen people do more is they'll double click the message and then use that haha chat emoji feature, whatever it is on Apple. If not, I do LMAO. That exact character length. Anything shorter, I'm lying. Anything longer, I'm lying. But do not lie to me and tell me that when you type in LOL, you are laughing at this shit. You already know that's not true. I can't even fathom how many girls, or maybe guys as well, text that to maybe someone they're dating or whatnot, kind of fake laughing at these things. Don't text me no goddamn IJBOL, please. Please. Man. Gen Z really just loves adding letters to shit, huh? I think that's all I got for you guys. It's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode. The last thing I want to add in is if you live in Texas, go get the Texas Pecan Cafe Olay coffee beans from HEB. This shit is amazing. Shout out to Isha's sister and brother-in-law for bringing that from Texas over to California, because I have been enjoying this shit out of it. With that being said, once again, I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you for the listen. Please, drop a like, subscribe, share it if you can with one or two people. And until next time. Oh, actually, right before I say that, the next episode, we're going to talk about this Depp v. Heard trial that the recap documentary came out on Netflix. So before next week, try to get on Netflix, watch that stuff to refresh your brain and also get the insight of what I'm talking about. This is something I didn't really keep up with for long when it was happening, but this definitely gave me a refresh and I want to talk about it. So until then, thank you guys, and I'll see you next week, and goodbye.